Alright, welcome back to Let's Play Victoria 2, with the USA. Now, last time we got our start together and beat Mexico for the territories up here that we had cores on and stuff. So, we still have one thing left, and people were right when they said that something about the Gadsden Purchase that I said that was unrealistic, that you couldn't take all of Mexico. The borders of the Gadsden Purchase aren't even in here. That would be like a separate thing that I would have to take if that were the case. I'd probably just leave it as Tucson in that case, because it was this section right here. But yes, the United States did not in fact take all of that territory in one war. That's true. Now, last time I had said that we're going to go after Spain, and I took a look at a bit around at the situation, and one of the things I've noticed is Spain's only barely out of the whole, scheme of great powers status. You can see that they're only 6 points off of, only 5 points off of the Ottomans in terms of military power, and equal on the rest of them. So they're likely to come back up, although it's probably more likely that the Ottomans will go down. The problem is, if you can see this here, is that France is cordial and has more points in it. This is something I expected to happen, but probably don't have enough time to deal with before I can do anything about it. Now, Spain is pretty strong, but I don't expect that they can actually do anything militarily towards us, because the strengths they give for the units and stuff are kind of deceptive, in that they probably don't have enough boats to really ship their entire army over to fight us. They have quite a few units, probably even more than I do. I mean, considering their military score is higher. And they are also allied with Austria, who definitely has more troops than I do, and a lot more ships. But Spain will have probably even more ships, and probably the same amount of things. They have slightly more brigades than I do and more ships. Again, I'm not terribly worried about that. But I don't think I will have enough time to circumvent whatever France is trying to do. If they get up to friendly before I can get a chance to declare war on Spain, well, even if I do declare war on Spain and they're up friendly, then they will get the chance to intervene in the war and make it so that I can only get a status quo without completely defeating them, which is terrible. So I'm not going to try to do that. It's something I can save for later. Spain might rise back up to the ranks and stuff like that, and France might have a problem doing things elsewhere. The cores I got for that decision are permanent, and Spain does not have cores on these. So that means we can perhaps make it rise up against Spain, basically make Cuba free, and then take them over our own ways. Because we have cores, they might in fact get that. The people who have American cores and cultures on them sometimes will get the chance to join other countries, but I don't think that'll happen. In any case, we can just kill Spain, or kill them. Now, Spain hasn't fallen as far as they can at this point, and I didn't notice that the North German Federation had formed last time. That's interesting. Okay, so it seems that France might be distracted fairly soon. I forget the actual requirements for forming Germany, but it's not terribly difficult. So with a combination of Austria and France, and the Netherlands are not terribly weak either, I don't think it's a good idea to be going after Cuba at the moment, even though it's better to get it early. Which means I'm probably not going to be doing anything at the moment. So working on mechanical production. Obviously we're gearing up for a war with Mexico. Now one of the things I do want to do, once I get a chance, is I want to get Colombia. Oh, I guess I can ally with them. If I ally with Colombia, and I'm cool with Colombia, then I can get them in my sphere, and then I don't have to worry about Mexico. Nobody else is messing with them, so that's cool. And I want to get my relations back up with France and Russia, specifically. The rest of the GPs I don't really care about. Belgium probably, yeah, they have a negative opinion of me too. The NGF had theirs reset. England's is back up to positive. The Ottomans, I could care less about. I think I started the game with that. And Austria is just not a big deal to me. So Russia and France are the ones I want to talk to. So that's what I'm going to be doing with that. One of the things I want to do, once everything stabilizes, and since I'm not going to be moving my troops over to there, I'll just kind of do stuff. And yes, I realize that it would have taken less time to conquer the territory if I had not split my armies up so much. But I wanted to keep them from filtering back, so I was making a big blocking line. And I didn't really have to wait. I didn't really have to rush. I was basically going to win no matter what. Okay. So, with the USCA firmly in our sphere, and with the prospects of getting Spain in our sphere are at least friendly, so that I can work with France, mess with France's influence on them. A very dim view of that at the moment. We should be using our influence on something else, and I think since we can't mess with Colombia, we should start working on Brazil. Except that England already has their points up on that. That's fine, because England probably has other targets that they have to work on. So we're going to have to start focusing our points on Brazil. Brazil is by far the next strongest. And then once I can start working on Colombia, I will work on Colombia. But I still have a truce with them until, I think, 1850. And you can't do anything with them until your truces are up. Yeah. And by that time, hopefully they will have seen the light as far as declaring war on Mexico, or as far as Mexico is concerned. I don't think there's any other things I want to do. Okay. So one of the things I definitely want to do is look at what's going to unlock when we get to 1850. This is 1860. Breech-loaded rifles, I know, unlocks at 1850. We need muzzle-loading rifles because it unlocks a thing that would allow me to colonize better. And I want to colonize up here because if you get the decision and Russia refuses, you still get cores on this stuff. There's a decision later for the Gadsden, not the, what's it called, the Seaward purchase. So I want to get that one pretty soon. Plus we need to start working on military and naval techs. We start with steamers, which is quite nice. But I want to get to iron steamers to get ironclads. That doesn't unlock until 1860. All of this stuff over here is really good. I want to limit the amount of military techs I'm getting at the moment because, well, it's it's bad because we have a penalty. One of the things I'm wanting to do is after 1860 I want to switch to generic School of Tech. Turn the speed up. And then I can do Army and Navy techs better, because we'll need more of those later once our baseline stuff. But importantly, we need to get things like state and government and empiricism and functionalism and all that stuff. These are things we need to get. So, we'll be doing that. And what are the texts I need for this? I have prophylaxis against malaria. Okay. Why do we, like, Liberia is just a useless vassal. Mission to civilize from state and government. Okay. And that's down the national focus line. Yes. So I'll get that. I'll get this, and then we'll have the text we need to discover those. Moral Crusaders. Now, one of the things I was wanting to try to do in the war with Mexico is to tear off Sonora. I probably won't only be able to afford one state. So the Copperheads, I want to debate them. Pittsburgh. Whatever. Pittsburgh's not in the south. Alright. My most important relation at this point is France. They are much closer to me. And could be much more of a problem to me than... Yeah, see here? France is allied with Russia, which is a big problem for the NGF. It usually doesn't stop them, though. Oh, okay. This normally does happen. Mexico's government has fallen because we beat them in the war. I don't know if it's a decision or something like that, but I don't remember at least. It usually does happen. At some point, the USCA will start to collapse too. There's an event going on. Smithsonian Institution. The United States Congress founded the Smithsonian Institution, which reports directly to the President. Its goals were and remain to the support of research and expeditions, as well as the popularization of science. There are more things in the heavens and the earth. We gain 5.5 prestige and 2,900 research points. I always wonder why there are tiny fractions of research points. It's because it's a proportion of the amount you can gain over a certain amount of time. Time to play ball in Cooperstown near New York. The first public baseball game took place. The New York Knickerbockers lost to the New York 9, 1-23. That's not really how you do that. Pretty sure Cooperstown is in New York. Whatever. They probably mean near the city, not near the state. Oh, we got a newspaper. I get mechanical production. I don't want to shirk on my industry techs because there's a bunch of other ones that unlock. Let's get state and government now. I want to get functionalism for the wait, not functionalism. It's the one that gives me the points. I think that's in commerce. Yeah, market structure, that sort of thing. Eventually, too, so that I can dominate the New World as far as politically. Because that's what you do. Looks like a lot of my pops have recovered. Let's take a look at the armies I have now. Okay. If you can, you don't want to leave these red pops hanging around in peacetime. If I was going to be at war, then I'd want to do that. I also have significantly more generals now, so I need to take a look at that. These will regenerate themselves over time. It's just, right now, not only will it be better for me to... You can also just do this. It'd be better for me to, I'll just move them on ship, actually. To have the pops working on something else than to be sitting there as dead soldiers, basically, who can't get regenerated. So, let's get 4 artillery, 2 more cavalry, and the rest infantry. Let's have them group up in... What was I having them group up before? Lubbock? Yeah, that looks fine, actually. Okay. Okay. You'll notice I've turned on these event things so I can see what people are doing, because I missed the event that gave us Maine last time. Or whatever that's called. Portugal. Cockhand. Some kind of war in the east. Ethiopia versus Egypt, and Ethiopia is winning. Gurkhas, Ascaris, and Tiraliers. I don't know. I was born under American rule. All my life I have dressed in American clothes and been taught and spoken the language of the USA. It should not surprise anyone that I am willing to die for my country. A traditional support for the USA and American rule has taken hold in one of our colonies, and several natives have expressed support for the ideas that have floated around the colonial office for some time, setting up native military regiments to help maintain order in our colonies. I don't think this is historical. We're not England. Oregon. The well-known Gurkhas, Oregon. It's not Oregon. So, everybody loses militancy. There's no militancy here. I get prestige and stuff? Yeah, sure. Hey, there's no penalty to that. Okay, my relations with France have been put positive. Yeah, screw you, the South. And notice, I'm not just hamstringing the South. I am completely destroying their ability to even fight us. Because I picked a side. People were asking me why I didn't want to play as the CSA. It's not that I don't want to play as the CSA, it's that I chose not to at the beginning. If I was going to play the CSA, I would be playing the less favorable thing of starting in the 1860 whatever campaign and not being able to stack the deck on my side. If you are playing as the USA, you can just extend slavery in every state, and then oh noes, the Zulu, and then basically just not have to worry about it. I completely forgot to start focusing my points in Brazil. And the CSA is pretty interesting to play as. Somebody asked me what slaves did. They're exactly the same as laborers and farmers. You just don't have to pay them, so they don't count as far as, and they don't count as citizens regardless. So basically, they're wasted pops in the case of demographics and stuff like that. It's kind of stupid, and I don't think they could ever become soldiers. I'm not sure of the exact inner workings as far as code goes of what that entails. If they can promote like normal stuff and things like that. Debtor's prison. As the 19th century dawned in Europe, the practice of jailing people who defaulted on their debts was still norm. In England, infamous examples of such institutions, debtors' prisons, included London's Fleet Prison. In these institutions, debtors were not seldom expected to pay for both board and room, and sometimes even special jailers' fees to effectively pay their jailers for their upkeep. Oftentimes, these practices only served to further complicate the debtor's financial situation, as if for natural reasons it's hard to earn money from inside a prison wall. The system was gradually abandoned in most European countries throughout the 19th century, and London's Fleet Prison was torn down in 1846. A wrongly jailed American aristocrat is now drawing public attention to these institutions, calling for their abolishment. We're not in Europe. But it's capitalists versus aristocrats. Well, we're the USA, damn it. We don't care what aristocrats think. Do we even have aristocrats? I'm sure we do. That wouldn't make any sense if we didn't. 24,000. I guess there are quite a few. The landed gentry, so to speak. Not like dukes and earls and stuff like that, though. Okay, so we're allied to them. We haven't broken their their alliance with Mexico, though. I was hoping they would do that. Portugal expands. Nothing really major. We got any projects coming along? And since I'm not really worried about the South anymore, I'll go ahead and invest in everything. I'll lose the control of that stuff for like a year. Civil War is not going to be very difficult for me. Honestly, the only state that I don't think yeah, Oklahoma entered as a state, hasn't entered as a state yet. So the only state that I've ignored were Texas and Florida, and that's pretty much all that they would have had. So I haven't hamstrung them that much as far as that's concerned. Grievous insults. Who's insulting them? Well, not us. It's one of those colonial thingamajigs. Alright. So. This army needs cavalry. One of the mistakes I usually make is that because of the, I suppose, balances from the other games, I often forget how important artillery is in this game. Actually, you can stay here. And I'll just focus on getting infantry and stuff. Now, cavalry is not important at all. But, yeah. At least not later in the game. Okay, let's replace these soldiers with craftsmen now. Don't want to have my soldier counts too high. Let's just focus on some workers. Okay. There we go. And now increase Brazil's opinion of us up to friendly. It doesn't look like Britain is focusing on them much. Let's see if that's the case. No, they're ignoring them. I'll let Europe fend for itself. I'll still have the cores on Cuba forever, so I can just wait for an opportune moment of Spanish weakness. But of course the game hates you, and will basically prevent you from doing anything on that front. Now one of the things I could do is put some troops down here to prevent them from doing anything. Will you give me an alliance? Will not accept. Because of my infamy, distance, and I have too many alliances. Okay. Well, that's fine. They'll probably ally with me when they're in my sphere. There's probably not much of a chance of me actually having an early civil war, but I've done everything I can to instigate it. It almost never happens before a certain amount of time. Well, that's normal. Good job, England. So state and government is going to give me another national focus. And what I might try to do is I might try to put a... and let the American know we will not... we do not sit idly by while they cull the sheep of our flock. Local preacher in Loa has been preaching national resistance against our rule. And he is but a symptom of a broader disease. In fact, much of the Loa clergy has been acting uppity lately. Nevada, Utah, huh? Okay, this is one of those situations I was talking about in the Persia game, where sometimes you do want to kill the people in a certain place. Nevada, Utah is a state. And if we look at the population, the clergy are probably all... There aren't any clergy here. Okay, here's some clergy. Mexican, 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 Native American. So they're all non-accepted cultures and stuff. So getting rid of them is not necessarily a bad idea. It's a terrible, but I'm gonna do it. Because it's just kind of the smart move. Alright. I think that's enough for now. Start getting our relations with Russia up. I might turn those off. Ah, but we wanted to hear things about this. And this. Flu pandemic. So apparently they like the beer in Mexico. Man seen voting. They're after me! Now, England probably just isn't bothering to try to prevent me from spearing them because they know that they can't. Fears of Austria. Austria fears the NGFs. That's normal. Sometimes weird things happen here, so you really want to know about it. And eventually Brazil will do stuff. Abolitionism. Slavery, this most vile and ancient institution of despotism and tyranny, is all but abolished in most of the civilized world. Yet here, in our very own the USA, in our very own the cheat, the practice continues with the explicit support of the law. An institution so clearly against the law of nature should not be given the false varnish of legality by men. A rally has been held in one of our states by abolitionists, arguing that the abolishment of the institution of slavery and the freedom for slaves. So, and okay, so it actually is an issue for the voters, and the people who support outlawing this, and this is in Alabama, actually. Gain one consciousness for people who want slavery support the movement, and all pops in Alabama become 40% more in favor of outlawing slavery in Alabama. Or could oppose the movement. Of course. I'm going to support that. Alabama, you say? That that, interestingly enough... Where's Alabama? Okay, outlaw slavery is now the dominant issue in Alabama. So, now they're all going to vote for the Democrats. If you notice here, Democrats thin on the ground. Most of the support really has to do with the Dixie culture group. And obviously the Afro-Americans are either slaves or something else. Like here are some artisans that are Afro-American. And some more. So they are... so these ones are making artillery. But most of them are slaves. And I don't know if slaves can be promoted. I'm pretty sure that they can. But there may be a different mechanic for them to be promoted. Okay, so we're going to have another national focus.